Let's get it. You ready?
Yep.
I like how we was all in sync with this third war shit.
I know, right? Repping for the home team.
Always.
See, that's the universe be aligned, man. You know. Let me see what's going on here. We gonna I want to get to these comments. Good evening, everybody.
Welcome. Like the church.
Come one, come all.
Yes, indeed.
So how your week been so far, Frank, while we waiting on everybody?
Every day a good day, man. Everything been well. Very well. Yours?
Good.
Is Raina gonna make a special appearance this week?
No. if Raina gets on, she's definitely going to she's going to take over the show. We can't have that.
What
so
up?
Somebody said the Graves are young Graves.
Yes, my girl,
all right.
Kaja Lou and Chris. They keep it a buck.
So we got some YouTube subscribers on here. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, indeed.
All the platforms checked in. Hello. I wish I could see these names because I know it just says Facebook user, but I really want to be able to say what's up to everybody. I'm probably gonna look at my
I'm gonna try to
check out my phone at the same time.
YouTube link to Facebook real quick.
Come on in, guys. Come on in. Hey. Come one, come all.
The boy Jaque down there waiting like, he like Rocky ready to shoot out the gates.
I'm excited to hear all of these different perspectives, man. I think that the conversation we're gonna have tonight is, if it's gonna, it needs to be had. I feel like it's something as a community we need to talk about. I feel like if everybody comes into the conversation, not being intolerant, not being disrespectful, being emotionally intelligent, I think that we could definitely, agree to disagree and, keep it pushing, but at the same time, maybe leave with some different perspectives, and if you said what you said, you said what you said,
Right. And then too, I think it's a learning experience because I thought about today, most people that you talk to about certain situations, most of y'all are like-minded. So talking to you and, people that would come in during the week and how they felt gave me a different light to think about it is what do you do? Shit, like if dude come downstairs and say that he gay, I mean,
you put yourself in that.
What do you really do at that point? It's not like you can, like you say, you can't beat it out of him, you can't church out of him. But I do still feel like certain things that I'm not going to accept in my house.
And that's your choice as a parent. Right, I think that's your choice.
So, and I think too, a big issue is like we spoke earlier, if you accept certain things or if you are not okay with it, that means that you're supporting it. You still might not be supporting it, but hey, shit is still your baby. You know what I mean? It's still your kid. So you can't really disown them. And the fact that everywhere you look around, this is everywhere now. It's becoming the norm. You know what I mean? My thought process is obsolete. The way I think as a man, an old man in a sense, this ain't, people don't think like that anymore. You know what I mean? Everybody got some LGBTQ somewhere. You know what I mean? But to me, like we was talking earlier, it's just not acceptable to me. It's not, and I don't understand. And not only not being acceptable, the fact is making certain decisions at a certain age. I really feel like, I think that's a big issue with more people. And also with the fact of people not understanding it, make you feel like that you are against it or hate it. That doesn't mean that, you know what I mean? You just don't understand it and you don't feel like, you just don't accept it. But that don't mean I hate gay people, I hate people, lesbians, I hate this. It's just that I don't understand it. And that's another point. Everybody appreciate a lesbian, but
so okay, so I think it's safe to say we're gonna go ahead and dive into the topic. So everybody that's joining, we got the ticker at the bottom of the screen. Me and Frank been putting out kind of like messages all week, alerts all week, letting you guys know what this week's topic is going to be about. So for those joining us, I'm going to verbalize the topic. So today we're going to be talking about Zaya Wade. For those who are not familiar with current events, entertainment news, Zaya Wade is Dwayne Wade's biological son, but Zaya Wade, I believe he's a preteen, or he's somewhere between the age of 11 and 14, and he basically came out to his parents as wanting to be a female. And so, with that being said, I think that in the Black community as a whole, especially for those of us who were raised in the church and things of that nature, we aren't really tolerant of these types of situations. So because Frank and myself and everyone who knows us knows that we're speaking on this situation from a heterosexual standpoint, the most I think me and him can speak on and still stay in our lane is the parental approach that we would have. We're going to have him and myself talk about it. We're definitely going to chime into some of you all's comments and show them across the screen. And we have 3 contributors coming on today. A young man named Jaque. We have a young man named Devron, and we have a young man named Adonis coming on, all offering different perspectives on this different, on this particular situation. So Frank kind of touched on his thoughts on it. Did you want to kind of finish your spiel before I got into mine, Frank? And again, we will be reading the comments.
Yeah, so that's pretty much where I stand, is the fact that as a man, I don't really care. So, it's not like I hate it or I hate them or I want to get that out there, the fact that even though I disagree, it's okay, because it's what you choose, and that doesn't really affect me. I think one of the bigger problem is the parenting in the world is of the world opposed to being in your house. So here, I'm gonna try to raise you a certain way, and I'm gonna try to raise you what I consider to be the right way. But once you go outside, that's different. But hell, everybody getting raised off of YouTube and TV and reality shows, so you can understand why everything is shifting and going a certain way. And I'll just wonder if it's a more of a push of an agenda, because like we spoke yesterday, I never really seen a gay person, or I don't even know what's the right way to say it. I can wait till Adonis comes so he can let us know how to address the community in a sense, because
being pronoun aware,
right?
So, for me, and by all means, we're gonna. Okay, so somebody says Zaya Wade is 14. Thank you for letting us know that. So Zaya Wade being 14, for me, my standpoint, and I've kind of already talked to Frank and I've chimed in on other people's posts and podcasts about it. My standpoint is coming from a parental perspective of someone who is very big on my child's mental health. And again, I do have quite a few friends in the in the gay community. And because I got tongue tied. But yeah, so with that being said, I feel like if my daughter, who's currently 3 years old, who I'm teaching gender norms and pink is for girls, blue is for boys, if she like blue, it's gonna be something blue that's for a girl, things of that nature, as her parent, I'm guiding her a certain way. But I do feel like early childhood development SMEs would agree with me when I say, when your kid becomes a certain age, preteen age, when we get to middle school, I think all of us begin to know ourselves more. And when I say know ourselves more, I think that's the age where we get to a point where I know if I like boys, I know if I like girls, I know if I know what kind of foods I like, I know what kind of friends I want. That is the age where cognitively you start to learn you. You might not know everything, but that's kind of like the beginning stages of learning you. In elementary school and younger, you're kind of riding the wave. So if my 3-year-old comes to me and say, "Hey, mommy, I think I'm a boy," I'm not gonna take it as serious, but because I try to be emotionally intelligent when it comes to dealing with my child, I'm not gonna dismiss it either. But if my 14-year-old, which is the age of Zaya Wade, comes to me and says, "Mom, I think that I am a boy," because I have a daughter. At that point, as a parent, my approach would be first asking her, why does she feel that way? Just trying to gain an understanding of when she became aware that that was her thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I agree.
Secondly, because I'm very resourceful, I am not, my ego is not big enough to where I would say, "Oh, I know everything. I don't need no help with this." No. I'm going to outsource. And more than likely, I'm going to go to Montrose, wherever I need to go. I'm going to
And
speak
find
to
somebody that
somebody.
can help you out.
I'm going to speak to somebody who is a therapist, a counselor, so I could get to the root of if this is how my child really feels and why. Because it could be a phase. It could be who she really is. It could be for attention. I need to get to the root of it. So once I get to the root of it, once I do all of that, because I'm pretty much taking you through the steps I would take to address it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Once I get to the root, and if that root is, no, this is how she really, really feels. She feels as though she was supposed to be a boy. That is when I will start trying to be supportive and process it. You know what I'm saying? Because now that I've got a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion, as well as her opinion, I have to be supportive. Now, with me being supportive, I really want to emphasize on this with not just myself, but everybody. I think that we believe if you're supportive, you agree. And that's not always the
Right.
case. That's not the case. That's the furthest thing from the case. Prime example, as women, we may have friends who are in abusive relationships. Guess what? If sis know what's going on, we didn't talk to her, other people didn't talk to her, she's aware she's not going nowhere. I'm not going to be the one to necessarily shake the boat because she's not going nowhere. So because I support her being happy with this abusive man, that doesn't necessarily mean that I
You
agree.
support abuse. Right.
Right. I don't support abuse. I'm not here for it. I definitely would probably change how I how much I expose myself to them. But I'm gonna support my loved ones. I'm gonna support. I don't ever want my loved ones feeling like they can't come to me and be transparent or that I'm a safe space. Last thing I want is a phone call saying my kid OD'd or committed suicide because as her parent, she came out to me and I didn't support her. So that's my take on it. And I didn't mean to be long-winded, but I felt like all of
No.
that was needed
You
so
did the
that
right
people
thing.
understand my take on it. So that's where I'm at with it.
So I got a question, and this is my question to it'll be to anybody that feels like it's kind of okay. It's a few different things. The name change, like that's one. Yeah, you want to be a girl, or I guess the name change would have to go in with the transition. But we're gonna just stop calling you whatever I named you and give you a name that you just came up with. You know, that's kind of a lot of it is kind of far fetched in a sense. Like, and I think if this was happening to a regular person, it'll be frowned upon. But since you're a rich couple, you're rich, you know, when you got money and people are idolizing you, you can do anything you want to
But
do.
that's a reflection on people, not them. No, you know what I'm
No, no,
saying?
no, no.
We're the only
I have
ones.
no, I got no biases against them because it's their kid, right? It's not my kid, and it's not really affecting me personally. So I don't have a bias against D Wade or the kid, but it's just a lot of stuff that I question. You know, my biggest thing is that I feel like he was doing it for attention.
Okay.
And people will say,
And that and
why?
that's and see that's when going back to what I said, that's when I would kind of take the steps to not just address it personally with my child, but get a professional opinion. Because if in the event that child is saying they want to be another sex for attention, you need a professional, and it's nothing wrong with therapy. but you need a professional, I feel like, to unpack that. Because where is that coming from? What is it? Because sometimes we do things as parents, or we neglect kids as parents, and we don't even know we neglecting them. So
well, I agree as a parent. That's true. That's true. That's true. But I, questions that I asked myself all week when we decided this is going to be the topic is like, how much would you allow? How much could you allow? Because one thing he said to me is like, what do you do after they come out and say it? And I had to think about that while driving. Ain't really much you can do.
No, it's not.
But I do feel like to a certain age, you can be gay, you know what I mean? But I don't think that at 14 I would be allowing you to wear a dress, carry a purse, change your I guess it's not even, change your name, or in that sense, because you're still 14. So I also thought about what else would you allow your kid to do at 13 or 14 so drastic? You wouldn't let them get a tattoo. You wouldn't let them have sex. You wouldn't let them, it's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't do as a parent. We both parents. My kid's 16 years old. So it's even stuff right now that I'm pretty sure soon all my son friends got tattoos. And he'll come in and say, hey, daddy, can I get a tattoo too? But at 17, I may say yes. But at 13 or 14, I may say no. But I also thought about this. A tattoo is permanent. So it's kind of a big difference. And because I personally feel, which I could be wrong, that all of this is a choice. But if you talk to another person that's in a lifestyle, they may say, no, I had no choice. This was a feeling that I had.
And we will. And that's why I think it's really good that we will have all of these different perspectives and contributors coming on, because like I said when I spoke to you about even discussing this, the only real perspective we can give on the Zaya Wade topic is from a parental standpoint. I cannot speak to if I felt as though I was, gay, or felt as though I was a boy at an early age. I can't speak on that because that wasn't the shoes I was in. But we definitely will have somebody come on who will speak on it. So first, before we have our first contributor on, do you want to go ahead and read some of these comments?
Yeah, let's get in. Let's see what they're talking about. I see somebody agree with me, so that's all I needed. You know what I mean?
So let me see here. Lanessa, and I don't know why some of these aren't showing. So Lanessa says, I agree. Yeah, some says user. So what I want to do is go here. So Jonah Benson, he said, great approach. I have a friend, Lo Wiley. She said, homeboy getting a sex change though? Because I feel like 14 is too young for that. Okay.
Right. I don't think they mentioned the sex change yet. I hadn't.
I don't think he's getting a sex change yet. So but I don't think he's getting that at 14. I don't even think it's legal to do that under 18. But I could be wrong. Don't get me to lying. Let me see here. I feel Angela said, but I feel a tattoo is not dealing with your mental.
I agree.
Hold on. I got a couple more comments here. I want to make sure I read all of you guys' comments. Young Graves said, correct. Just because you support means doesn't mean you agree with the lifestyle.
Right.
Nisha Brown, are people who don't support that lifestyle wrong for not wanting their child to be that way, for a lack of a better term?
No, that's why I stand. Nisha, I don't think I can support it, but
I think all of us who are heteros, most of us who are heterosexual our preference, we definitely prefer for our sons to marry women and have us some grandkids, our women to marry men, have us some grandkids. Like, we prefer that. But I think it's safe to say that that's what we prefer. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if my child comes to me because of the society we live in, and because I know for a fact I have a mind of my own. I'm very, very unorthodox in the way I live. A lot of my approaches to life are unorthodox. So it would not be bizarre for my kid to come to me with something unorthodox when she comes of age. So, and I'm strong-willed. So my kid is going to be strong-willed. So when it comes to that, I just kind of have to always keep in mind how I am, because it's more than likely my kid is going to blaze her own path and do her. Let me see.
Agree. And she should. As she should.
Yeah. And that's, another thing we fail to realize, like, our kids are like us. If we're strong-willed, if we go against the grain, they may do stuff that goes against the grain that we don't agree with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So somebody else said another topic of discussion needs to be parenting skills in the future, which will provide insight on understanding the different parenting styles. Yeah, I feel like as parents, it's always room to learn there. It's nothing wrong with continuing to pick up a book, talk to somebody who's in a SME in early childhood development, get their perspective, because we're kind of learning as we go. We're not subject matter experts on kids just because we have them. So I definitely think that, that's a discussion that needs to be tackled.
That's something else that I thought about too, because the parenting skills. A lot of people out here are still promoting their kids to be thugs, gangsters, and not giving them the real insight on what the street or what that life is about. So what's the big difference? What I mean? What's the difference in allowing your kid to wear a dress and then you allowing your kid to wear his pants
go
off
out
his
and
ass?
shoot bang bang, right?
Right. You know what I'm saying? Represent a gang at 12 or 13, but he a shooter. So what's the big difference? So it's kind of like the kettle calling the pot black, because if you're not with it, you're gonna find every reason not to be with it. But
right, but you that's what I'm saying. I feel like as a community, I have no problem with a person not being with or with it. It's all about, to me, in all honesty, it's about the kid. I try to advocate as much as I can for the kids. I try to put myself in their shoes, and I try to think from that standpoint. Like, if I came to my mother and expressed to her these feelings, these emotions, and she completely was intolerant, not hearing it, you tripping, disregarding my feelings and emotions, even though I'm able to articulate them to her, I can only imagine how frustrating that could be and what kind of headspace that would put me in. Nicole Janae, therapy. Oh, that's my sister. Therapy is typically the first step to the transition process for minors. Okay. Legally, you can't get a sex change yet until 18, I believe. So that's a little bit more insight into that. Somebody, I think it's a sidebar conversation. No, Nisha, your morals are based off how you were raised. Totally understandable. Adonis, who we're going to have come on later. You don't have to agree with the decisions our children, the decisions are your children to understand their decisions, or your children to understand their decisions. Okay. And I'm gonna read this last comment, and we're probably gonna get into our first contributor. I'm a licensed professional and working with kiddos in the foster care system. Okay, so we have somebody. I'm you breaking up, Frank. So I'm an ex CPS worker. So okay, that's somebody who could be considered an SME when it comes to that. All right, Frank, we got a little bit of distortion. You
got
back?
a little lag. Is it on me?
Yeah. You good? So okay. I think that's the last comment. Do you want to go ahead and have Jaque come on?
Yeah, let's bring Jaque on. This guy is, pro-choice, pro-decision. He's kind of like me. That's why I went and found him and brought him on here, because he really doesn't, not just per se, he doesn't understand it, but being a hetero male, we see it different. And I think, me personally, me being who I am, I'm okay with people seeing it different. And that's acceptable. That's okay with me that we don't see it the same way. But this guy kind of had a level head about the situation, and he was very verbal about it. So let's bring Jaque on.
Okay.
Hey.
Hello. Can everybody hear me good?
I can.
Yeah, man. How you feeling?
Good. I'm feeling good, man. I'm loving the discussion so far, and I'm reading the comments and everything. And I was just taking some notes. I had a couple key points I wanted to touch on before I even dig deep into it. So first, I just want to say when he came out, he was 11 or 12, according to the time period when Dwayne Wade said he came out. He wasn't 14. He was 11 or 12 around this time. Right. Okay. And I want to say, just speaking on that, that is too young to understand a life changing situation, because this isn't like when we speak on a tattoo. A tattoo is permanent, but it also can get removed, or something along the lines that will not stay with you for the rest of your life. This is a decision that will stay with you for the rest of your life primarily. And I'm of the mindset to believe that a child at 11, 12 years old do not have the mental capacity to understand the decision they are making. Therefore, that's when the parenting is supposed to kick in. My problem that I had with Dwayne Wade, I watched him on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and he spoke about when his son came out. His first reaction was, okay, I need to start looking up this and figure out ways to help. To me, that equals bad parenting. I always tell people there's no such thing as bad kids. There's only bad parenting. It's as simple as that. If my child came to me and said, oh, Dad, I want to go play in fire, I'm not going to be like, okay, well, let me show you how to start some fire and hop in there. It doesn't work that way. As your father, I'm going to tell you why this is not what you should be doing. I feel like as a man, especially a black man, that was Dwayne's opportunity to explain to his son that this is not the route that he should be going, and not just simply be okay with it and run with it. I think that just creates a bigger problem. I think that goes back to us as black people today not really understanding what parenting is, because our parents weren't the best parents. Let's be honest. Their parents weren't the best parents. Let's be honest. And another thing, a lot of us have this mentality that what another person does don't affect us. I'm gonna just do my thing in my home, and what's going over there don't affect us. And in ancient Africa, we have a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. The concept we have as a people today is so flawed. What the next person does absolutely affects us in every way, shape, form, or possible. My child that I am raising is not just my child. That is the community's child. My child doesn't live in a box. My child goes outside of my home and lives within the community for an average of 8 hours of the day. That is the community's child just as much as it is my child. And back in ancient Africa, we understood this philosophy. And that's why we had the proverb that it takes a village to raise a child. And so when we all come together and we are of like mind, our kids is in a safe space. I remember when I was young, I could go down the block, ride my bike, friend's house, everything was cool because everybody around the block was raising your kids, in some way, shape, or form. Nowadays, you can't do that because everybody is so, no, this my child is my child, you stay over there. And we don't have that connection that we used to because, we adopted a way of thinking that is not, normal to. Say what?
A pretty selfish mind frame. I agree with that.
Yeah, very selfish mindset, and that has affected us dramatically. So I want to say for me, for instance, I'm a professional mixed martial artist. I've been doing mixed martial arts for 15 years. I started teaching all my kids at the age of 3 mixed martial arts. My youngest is 8 years old. He'll be 9 in July, and he's my best student by far. I bring this up because because I'm a spiritual brother, and I discuss religion and spirituality often. And so when I talk to my religious people and they believe so profoundly in their beliefs, I explain to them there's over 5,000 gods being worshipped in the world. Are you going to tell this group of people that has a number of 2 billion people that they're wrong? People have, different way of thinking. If from childhood, I raised my kids to be a martial artist, 9 times out of 10, they will grow up and they're going to want to be a martial artist. It's just what it is. 9 times out of 10, if I allow my child, say my child is 5 years old, and I allow my child to stay around women all the time, if I allow my child to stay in his sister room all the time and be around toys that are specific to girls, over time, my son will adopt women-like behavior. And in time, if I do not check that, it will be natural for my boy to grow into these feminine attributes. And so I cannot be shocked when one day my child comes to me and be like, hey, I think I identify with girls more. Well, of course you do. I allowed you to do these things for years and years and years. It only makes sense. The same reason my child loves martial arts today, even my oldest boys. Well, it makes sense because I've been inbred this to them since they were young. So we got to ask ourselves, what are we doing as parents? Are we allowing certain things to take place? Are we really parenting our kids? Or are we sitting back and just being their friends because we didn't have parents? Our parents worked crazy hours. We was at home most of the time by ourselves. We didn't really know what parenting was. We grew up on our own. That's just the reality of it. So we don't have an example of what being a parent is. So now that we have our kids, what we're doing is I'm going to be my child's best friend. So no matter what my child say, they can never be wrong. I'm going to agree with everything. I'm just going to whatever they say.
Yeah, it's a lot of that.
Yeah, but just go ahead.
I follow. So I wanna kind of stop you here because there's some comments coming in, and I think that a lot of the questioning in the comments is valid to what you're saying, and I do want to hear your response. So one individual said bad parenting for researching. So basically, are you hinting at Dwayne Wade being presented with a lifestyle that his child feels that he's a part of, and as him basically saying, hey, I want to look more into it, how to address it? Do you think that if your child comes to you expressing an interest or a relatable feeling towards a lifestyle, by you looking into that lifestyle, you think that's bad parenting? Like, can you expound upon that comment?
No, that's a good question. I'm not what I'm saying is I'm not saying that Dwayne's idea of doing research was bad parenting. That's not what I'm saying. Anytime you want to gain information about something that will benefit you and your child, that's a beautiful thing. What I'm saying, his neglect to correct this particular situation. Like, his son could have came at him about anything and his response would have been the same, and that would have been perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But as black men, okay, and your son comes to you, and for you to not have the basic understanding to, wait a minute, son, I don't need to go nowhere and research nothing. I know this is not the route you should be going down. Okay, I don't need to go ask nobody. I don't need to go read no book. I don't need to go do no research. I've been a black man my whole life. So for me, that's what I'm saying. His decision to not nip that in the butt right there and then take some other steps is where I'm saying the bad parenting is. He chose to neglect that entirely, and his course of action was automatically accepting that without questioning anything and just looking for reasons to aid in it, as if your 11, 12-year-old son has the mental capacity to understand what they're saying. They don't. They like you can't even buy cigarettes and stuff until you're 18.
That was my next point.
So let me ask you this, and to be clear, I'm definitely not trying to derail you from your, I'm not here to change nobody's standpoint. I find a lot of what you're saying very interesting and valid. But are you so you're saying that children or underage adolescents who are 11, 12 years old don't know what they're feeling? So if your child comes to you and says, Dad, I'm hurt by something you said, if you feel as though you didn't say anything wrong, you're going to tell your child, like, no, you're not feeling that, even though your child is explicitly telling you they're feeling something?
No, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm very big, especially with my kids. We have an amazing open line of communication. One thing I always tell my kids is you will never get in trouble for telling me the truth. Okay. Never. And my kids are amazing with their open line of communication. My ex-fiance helped me become a better parent 10 times fold. She was amazing. She was one of them super thinkers like me. She won awards for it. What I'm saying is that in this particular situation, see, a child can come to you and have a question. This person is bullying me, so I feel like this or whatever, or something else. Any of those situations, don't align with this, because this is something that you will carry on as an identity for the rest of your life. So I'm saying by doing that, that child doesn't have the mental capacity to understand what they're saying. They could be feeling something in the moment because of maybe what some had happened. We got to understand.
So your thing is the foresight. It's the foresight that's not there, is what you're saying. They can't see. So, because I definitely want to be clear in understanding your perspective. The foresight as of what I'm doing at 12 or 13, I don't know yet how it's going to affect me at 23, 24.
Absolutely, because we got to understand this.
As adults, we get foresight more, is what you're saying.
Yeah, when you're that young, we got to understand and remember, you are super easily manipulated. I mean, you can, peer pressure will have you doing all kind of things. For instance, in the Black community, we do not like to talk about this. We make fun of Caucasians about incest all the time, but it's so much incest within the Black community that we sweep under the rug. And the reality is, a lot of that is based in the videos these kids watch and the bad parenting in other homes that's going on. So these kids go to school and they behave a certain way, and that is reflected upon your child. And over time, they adopt that behavior and that way of thinking. And next thing you know, somebody's 8-year, 9-year, 10-year, 11-year, 12-year-old son is forcing his 6-year-old sister to perform sexual acts on them that they shouldn't do. Our kids are easily manipulated by certain things at this age. So having that understanding, as a parent, we should be like, we should be pumping the brakes on these things. We shouldn't be just accepting it and just be like, no question, hey, okay, this how you feel, we're going to run with it. For me, that's where the bad parenting is.
Gotcha. So go ahead, Frank.
So originally when this came out, I was telling everybody, because like Jaque being a Black male, and I said, Dwayne Wade, I don't think he for it. But because this is something else we got to look at. You can't be against anything gay right now because they cancel you. You can just say, like all of us on this post that are saying, I don't understand it, I'm not with it. We can say that, right? Because Pepsi isn't paying our bills, all these different platforms. Nobody can get on there and say, hey, if you support Frank P., I'm not buying a Pepsi anymore. So I personally felt like he was going along with the play because you cannot deny it in public. If you can say, I don't understand gay people, I don't really like that. People take that makes that mean that, you hate gay people. Now you gay bash. You can't say anything negative or anything against it. Now you're a gay basher. You know what I mean? So the whole society right now is pro-gay. So if you are anti-gay, you frowned upon. So
I went the opposite way. I believe he's actually using his son to broaden his stardom, right? And this is why I say that if we look at the timeline of everything going on, and let me paint this picture for y'all, right? His son was about 11, 12 years old during the time. This is a couple years ago. This is right around the time that he was retired. Dwayne Wade was retired. LeBron James was doing his thing. Everybody knows Dwayne Wade's best friend with LeBron James, and they have a great family connection. LeBron doing a lot of big things. So understand this, right? Dwayne Wade, when him and LeBron was on the Heat, they were receiving a lot of attention, things of this nature. Dwayne Wade lost all of that, right? He lost all of it, and he wasn't talked about. The reason why I say I feel like he's been using his son to get it back. Everybody knows that once you go that gay route, you in there. I mean, you got everything you need. My thing is this: if you really care about your child that much, first of all, why wouldn't you want your child to have some level of privacy going through something like this? Second of all, you do not advertise your kid like they're a mascot. His child was wearing halter-top shirts that you wouldn't even put on girls at that age. There's no excuse for that behavior other than you're purposely putting your child in the forefront for some reason. How else can you explain a boy wearing halter-tops, nails this long? Like, come on now. It's like I know a lot of people who are gay, lesbians, etc. I got them all around me. We have these discussions? I'm thankful I got people around me from different walks of life where we can have honest discussions without you getting in your body. We can keep honest with the people that I'm around. I don't do that fake in the front stuff. So you got, and mind you, and I wish I got some lesbian friends that I feel the same way I feel. They like, no, you doing way too much for this to be your son. You know what I mean? Like you don't, this is not the zoo. Why are you so extra with it?
So
and that's what I feel like, he was doing that for alternative reasons.
Okay, so it's a hidden agenda, you feel as though, with Dwayne Wade as well. So it's so many comments, it's so many good comments coming in. I definitely want to try to get to these, and I feel like since they're based on your contribution, I want you to hear this out. So one comment says, and there were still trans people in Africa. This isn't new. Also, I'm half
before colonization.
Okay. Also, okay. So that's your take on that. Also, I'm half Nigerian, just to provide more clarity. Someone else says, is it being considered that Dwayne's lifestyle is being questioned, and that is reason to believe why he's not viewing this like the rest of the heterosexual believers are seeing this issue?
Right.
So,
I would agree with that. More and more that this plays out, you look at Dwayne with the side eye, you can look at certain things he does, and they're not as manly as you would think. The way he dressed, the way he talks, his mannerisms. So you can assume that he may be maybe a bisexual male or whatever the case may be. But all that is totally assumptions. And for me, I think it's going to be an assumption because now I have a bias about his son. So everything you do, I'm kind of questioning.
As a heterosexual male,
that's honest. Yeah.
Well, Gabrielle Union was on the show, and she spoke about parts of her sexual life with Dwayne Wade. So when she did that, that's what really raised the red flag for a lot of people, because she spoke about doing certain things sexually with him that 9 times out of 10 a straight man is not
not do. Right.
Oh, I gotta watch that. I missed that. Now I will say I'm ignorant to that. I didn't see that. So I need to check that out.
When you pay attention to Dwayne Wade and his mannerisms and things of that nature, you start to be like, okay, well, you doing these kind of things.
So now it's speculation based on how he went about accepting his son coming out, and based on what Gabby said, that he could very well be bisexual, is what you're saying.
And those little shorts that he wears.
I'm not of the mindset to believe his son came out in the first place. Okay. I think I feel like people know what they're doing. My child's mother has a friend who I knew when her son was young that he was going to grow up and potentially be that way, because she always used to let him do things that he should not be doing.
Okay. And as far as gender norms go.
Yes. Okay. And his mannerisms over the years reflected that. And for me, it's just certain things that's just common sense. If you allow people to do certain things over time, this will happen. It's just common sense. From a baby learning to walk, you keep standing them up. Sooner or later, they're going to get walking down. You know what I mean?
So you're saying it's learned behavior. Right. Okay, so I'm going to some...
Jaque. Hey, Jaque, we're going to get into some comments. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
I'm going to put you off screen, but definitely keep you on. Definitely get in the comment section. We're going to have another guest come on.
The comment section is all about you, so please feel free to say what you got to say. you know.
Let me say one more thing before I get off. The person said something about transgenders being around in Africa. I want to touch on this because, like I said, I had this conversation 1,000 times before. There is nowhere in time period. I'll cash app anybody $1,000 right now. If you could find me any time period before European colonization that there were transgenders or gays in Africa, because
y'all heard y'all homework assignment.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, I give you $1,000. Listen, I got a small library in my house that I can show you. I've been studying my whole life. You won't find it. I'm an African spiritual brother. Before European colonization, we knew nothing about transgenders, gays, all this different stuff. Our holy trinity is the man, the woman, the child, the Ankh. Always have been. We have statues 100 feet tall that represent that. We've never been of the mindset of that way of thinking. We didn't even know nothing about that until European colonization came. So
cool.
$1,000 if you can find it.
All right. Y'all heard your homework, $1,000. Shoot, I'm about to go get me some books. I'm about to go
put all your information in the comments and way people can reach you. Tell them what you got going on real quick. And,
will do. I appreciate the platform. I appreciate what y'all do.
Thank you for coming on. So, okay, I'm going to get back to some of these comments. So, Sophia, it doesn't make you a bad parent by assisting your children in a journey. There should have been, and I can only assume they took place, a lot of conversations surrounding both genders and helping him to understand what he was feeling and why. Adonis, how many trans and gay people were raised under strict traditional guidelines and still gay or trans? It's a good point. How do you correct gender identity? That goes back, Frank, to what we talked about as far as your kid's mind being made up and, you know, you getting second, third opinions and it being confirmed.
Right.
Young Graves, that's why it has to be topic of discussion on different parenting skills and styles. So this will provide insight on how we classify when a child is labeled to have experienced good or bad parenting. Okay, Adonis, I think that it's an interesting tactic that all parents of queer kids should try. Tell your kids they're not queer. I wonder about the success rate of that approach. I don't think it's good.
I don't think that. Yeah, right. I don't think that that's that. You know that. Since I'm saying, hey, you're not gonna be gay, and Jaque was saying, no, you're not gonna be gay. You're gonna. What I'm thinking, he's saying, I don't want to try to put words in his mouth, but what I would say is, I'm gonna try to teach you what is considered right. What I consider right.
That's our job as a parent.
We teach our kids is what we consider right. So I'm gonna keep pushing you towards what I consider the right way. So I don't want Adonis to think that since I'm pushing you towards the right side, you know, that you're choosing that, no, you can't go left. No, that's something that you choose on your own. But what Jaque was saying and what I'm saying is, I'm still going to try to steer you the right way. And Adonis, if you choose to go the way you choose, even right now, if my kid leave out the door and go do something that I teach him something different, I tell my son all the time, I got you all the tools to be successful. It's up to you to go outside this house and be the gentleman, the guy you're supposed to be. Right. You know what I mean? My mama taught me a certain way to live, but I still went out in the streets and did what I wanted to.
Right. So many people did. A lot of us did.
Right. So it's not on the parent. It's not, but it is on the parent if you don't try to correct the negative behavior.
Okay. Sophia said, it appears that Black men are against homosexuality and refuse to change their way of thinking. This is why we're having that discussion, Sophia. I feel like if you put energy, if you go in expecting people to change their mind. See, when I have these kinds of discussions, I don't go in with expectations at all. It takes far too much energy to change somebody's mind. All I can do is have a open discussion about it. All we can do is have an open discussion about it and bring awareness and let people know that, you know, just because you're supportive doesn't mean you're necessarily for it. Adonis, most of my queer friends and family did and they're still queer. So these are just look like they look like sidebar conversations. Right. Parent pressure will have you doing all kinds of things as well, which is why so many kids have a hard time coming out. Absolutely. I agree with that. I agree. incest was happening before television. I think that's touching on what Jaque said about incest.
Right.
The kids end up being gay queer adults with trauma. Depending on how their parents approached it. Zaya's birth mother is not in agreement of his lifestyle. Okay, so that's another fact about Zaya Wade.
And maybe that was the reason why they made the big push of getting the kids away from the mother.
Possibly, you
that
never
was a
know.
big problem at one time.
That's I definitely heard the backstory between the whole co-parenting situation. It's not about being pro-gay. It's about creating equality. Absolutely. Let me see. Gays and lesbians can also be homophobic and transphobic. Okay. Your lesbian friends feel that way, but do you have any gay male friends to give their perspective? Oh, they're coming, baby. Toxic.
No, she was talking about for Jaque. He was saying that he had
okay.
friends that feel the same way.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, the perspective probably would be different from a gay male. You know what I mean? But I think you got to accept. We all have to accept that the views are gonna be different. And like you stated at first, I can't talk on the gay dude mind frame because I ain't a gay dude.
We can we can only come at this particular topic from a parental standpoint, not as a person in a lifestyle. So
we got a heterosexual male that has a different point of view from me and Jaque.
Okay.
And that's Devron Zeno, and we're gonna bring out you. You got any more comments to run through?
There's a lot. I'm gonna try to get through them fast. So Terrence says the ways are sexually free and liberated, and that bothers people. Show me that data that straight men don't do that in the bedroom with their wives. And he was speaking on Gabrielle talking about their sex life and what's done. Should not be doing according to those standards. Life shorts. So that means all men. That means all men on track teams are gay.
Come on, Adonis. Be real, my boy. Be real, my
boy. Adonis coming. I already sent him the link. He coming. He's on it. He's on it with this one. Come on, Nisha. You're on it, ma'am. Okay, so these are other comments and conversations happening. Stay tuned.
Adonis put that cash out there.
Hey, he's coming. Okay. So that cash app must be for the homework that says fine before Africa was colonized, it to be, gays and homosexuals in Africa. Okay, so all right. Yes, I'm interested in knowing the findings on that because, that's something that I'm ignorant to. So teach me something. Just because we can't find that info on Google doesn't mean it didn't happen. Okay. Y'all heard that, man. Holy Trinity, Jocelyn said. I agree with being around mannerisms that majority will pick it up sometimes. It's always possible. By denying who they are. So, and then last one, my sister said, Nicole Janae. So what is the explanation for those who were raised right according to gender norms, but still on the low feel that they are opposite genders? I don't have an explanation, but I definitely know it's a thing. And like I said, we got contributors coming on that are going to get more into it. So right now, are we waiting? I think I went through all the comments and I'm ready. We're ready for Devron, right? But it says something here about a device. I think he's trying to click on.
Yeah, man, he need to get that prime code tuned up.
So yeah, man.
So far, it's been pretty good. So far, so good. And
I feel like.
Think,
Go ahead.
So I think in the whole conversation that we just got to realize this different perspective. And the good thing is, I don't think nobody's trying to change nobody's mind. Everybody's just accepting what it is and you saying your piece. But without this on the Cool Podcast, you feel me, baby? This conversation is not really being had with people that are not with the same like mind of you. Because you get around your friends, if 3 or 4 of them don't agree, 3 or 4 of them agree, most of the time, nowadays, that 5th person is not going to say, hey, no, I don't agree. They're going to go with the flow. That's just what people do nowadays. So it's good to have a conversation from different views, different perspectives. And
so let's get Adonis on. Adonis, go ahead and click that link that I sent you because right now I think Devron's having some technical difficulties. Whenever you're ready, feel free to join us. We're going to go ahead and try to get a differing perspective. But I definitely I feel like I learned a lot based off what Jaque says as far as his mind frame. One thing I did really agree on that stood out that he said had to do with as a community, we lost that community effort when it came to raising kids. We don't know our neighbors anymore. We just living in a
Right.
day and time where we're not synchronized. And so that does have a lot to do with, well, what you do in your household don't got nothing to do with me. I know
Right.
that I'm very guilty of it. I do. I go
Me
above
too.
and beyond to stay in my lane and mind my business. But I know from my standpoint, I definitely am a person who does not want to be my child's friend. I said, I want to be an ally, but I set that line there to let her know, hey, I'm the parent, you're the child. I'm old school disciplinarian to a certain degree, but like I said, I don't ever want my child to be in a headspace where she relayed something to me or felt as though I was a safe space and my reaction made her feel otherwise. And so then she goes to other people, other avenues to get that support, because that's always what happens. That's always what we see. I think that has a lot to do with the individuals that I know who are in the gay community being so close knit and tight, because a lot of them unfortunately came from households where their family and their parents rejected them for being who they are. So we got Adonis on. You ready to add him?
Let's go.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Hey,
What's up?
Adonis.
What's up? What go down?
Thank you so much for coming on. So happy to have you. I've been knowing Adonis for a while, went to PV together. I know that he's very active in his community. Adonis, you've seen and you heard everything that we've been discussing today. Please let us know your take on it. Any kind of refutes, rebuttals, I know you got them.
Well, again, thank y'all for having me. I feel honored. I'm glad that, regardless of whether people may agree or disagree, that this conversation is being had on a platform predominantly for heterosexual individuals. All right, so first and foremost, let's honestly talk about something that many of us, I guess, understand, whether we may be parents or not. All, for the most part, I'm assuming either had parents or guardians that act as parents, right?
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think briefly touched on that. How much did we do, and how much are we now that our parents or guardians did not want us to be, and fathers not to be? Here's another situation of parenting, because of course it's not a rule book that comes with it, and even though I'm very vocal and opinionated about a lot of things, there's a lot of things about my life that I always keep private.
Okay.
One of them. Many people do not know, except my close friends, that I was a teen father.
Okay.
My son will be 17 in December. Okay. So I definitely do have a whole different mindset when it comes to I believe what Jaque said as far as like having your child out there promoting, because I made it clear that my son wasn't gonna be my son feel like that until he was adult and things of that nature. Because I never want to be that person trying to exploit that relationship with them. That's one. Now, I don't understand what's wrong with being a parent, loving your child unconditionally. If your child, and it's different, let's say this. Okay, yes, I think that's how you pronounce it. Is that is his name?
Oh, Jaque?
No,
Jaque.
Jaque.
Who?
Your co-host.
Frank P.
Frank had said, like, I think you made a equivalence about like.
Hey, now don't be shading me, boy. Don't be shading.
You had all that time.
No, it's good.
Okay, y'all have a conversation.
No, he made a comment as far as like your mother not want you wear certain pants outside to gang bang in equivalence with the dress. The difference between that and the reason why it's a false sense of equivalence, the individuals who feel as though they are trans or a trans experience feel as though that they're born in the wrong body, wearing something that is traditionally associated with the gender that they want to associate with helps them mentally and emotionally. Let's say right now, you are a cisgender man, and cisgender, for those who do not know, it's not a new term. Cisgender basically means that you identify with what was put on your birth certificate. Okay. I am cisgender. They put male on my birth certificate. I identify as a male.
Okay, I follow.
So if you do not identify what was put on the birth certificate for you to identify, and you're putting on something that doesn't identify with how you view yourself or want to view yourself, that brings trauma. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit more insight, give y'all a little bit more of my business.
Okay.
Private about like posting family pictures, things of that nature. My boyfriend is a trans man. He was born a woman, he transitioned to a man.
Okay.
So as far as speaking on trauma, his mom was super religious, still is, pro-Christian, this, that, and other. I ain't trying to put too much business out there, but put it like this: it was a lot of trauma that his parents did that has been said and suggested already by individuals and in the comments. All that as far as kicking him out, whooping his ass, making him wear dresses and things of nature, still ended up to this point. And what it also did is left a strain on their relationship to the point that a boyfriend had tried to commit suicide and also did not have a relationship with his mother for the longest. So it got to the point she made the decision: either I want a relationship with my child, or I might end up burying my child. I haven't won it all. So the thing is, what is more important to you is what's important to you, what you want your child, or is it important that you provide the best safe space for your child?
Right.
Something like this. As a black gay man, that regardless of how my parents felt about it, and let me just put this out here because a lot of people have a lot of myths saying that gay men are close to their father. Me and my dad like this, and my dad is Nigerian. Okay, so you got black folks street like that. Then you got Nigerians. Okay, my dad loves me unconditionally. Me and my dad shoot the shit every other day. Okay? So having some, but what that taught me was the fact that I had a father to accept me means that a lot of people may perceive certain things as being arrogant or confident. My daddy instilled in me a no motherfucker better than me, and I need to operate like that, regardless of what I'm attracted to, who I'm attracted to. I was provided, and my parents ain't perfect, trust me, but the space that my parents provided for me allowed me to authentically be me. Even though when I was struggling internally with coming out and dealing with those things, having that safe space at home.
So you're kind of like a success story when it comes to this. You're speaking from a standpoint of a man that was able to come out and still be accepted and supported by his family, who are heterosexual parents, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so it can be done.
Oh, it can definitely be done. And the thing of now, let's be clear. My parents, again, on perfect. Growing up, I definitely heard comments geared towards gay men, lesbians. Even though I had a lesbian aunt, it was conversations made. Ideally, yes, my parents would have preferred if I got married.
Right, of course.
To a woman.
And I feel like that's like what most hetero parents prefer anyway, because that's your lifestyle. That's what you identify with as a heterosexual parent.
Absolutely. That wasn't the case. And I know individuals who feel with that route. On the low, things of nature, married these women, married these men, having kids in horrible ass marriages, presenting on social media like it's this and the other, while they're cheating.
They're down low, basically.
Cheating on their significant other. They not happy, and they're just there going through the motions to make other people happy. I love my parents too. I love my son too. But let me tell you one thing about it. You only got one life to live. But let me tell you who ain't gonna be unhappy while they living in one life.
Adonis.
Right. Unhappy. What I do want to be, and you spoke on it, having kids, and then I can't wait to see your baby get to a teenage.
It's gonna be interesting.
But I already told my son, like, listen, you and I are friendly, but I ain't your friend, humble, until you get to 30. You know, I don't want to blur those lines of saying that, hey, yo, you know, we so cool. Me and my dad, we shoot the shit. He ain't gonna correct me if I'm wrong. No, I'm not gonna do that. However, as time happens and you get that life experience, you understand better, you navigate better. Being a queer person who has a son, who possibly, because what the situation may be, who may be queer, I think oftentimes I ask myself certain questions. What would I have to do with this, that, and the other? I look at parenting like car insurance. I'm looking at not what will happen, but what may happen.
Okay.
Scenario whether I have another child or my son says he may be transgender, or if I have another child that may be queer or transgender as well, I'm going to instill in them the same thing I would if they were cisgender. I don't want you to be no good ass motherfucker. I don't want you to be with somebody hitting you upside your head. I mean, there's so many other
be in a healthy relationship despite who you with.
That's it, because and I want to speak to black men, because we often understand, and for those who have close relationships with their fathers, because I know a lot of people say black man this, and I'm hearing a lot, and this ain't on no respectability politics. So you see, I'm wearing this do-rag for a reason. A lot of times I'm hearing motherfuckers say black man this, black man that, with their mamas made still with their last names, their mama's maiden name. So my thing is, what is that male figure in your life, and where is your father at? And is this something you just heard that you picking up, or did you have that testimony of that one-on-one experience with your own father?
Well, me, I can speak personally. My father died when I was maybe 10, but he wasn't my daddy. It wasn't my daddy before he died. But I had a stepfather who raised me. And to go back to what you're saying, I had a stepfather who raised me that spent a lot of time in prison, right? So I wear a muscle shirt every day because my stepfather, he put that on me. So to go back to kind of push back to what you're saying, yeah, we got to accept that, hey, Adonis is gay, right? Or if you were my boy, you were my son. But I still have to try to sway you into a direction. Because think about this, if you just, did what you did and you young, your mind frame is young and it's not really thought through. And if I don't push you as a father, like I said, I got a 16-year-old son, 17-year-old nephew who I raised like my son, and a 19-year-old niece who I love. These are like my kids. So I'm still going to push you in the right direction. But I'm going to say this, Adonis. So at a very young age, right, and my friends can say, shit, I wanted to be thugging, right? I wasn't bad, but it's certain stuff that's inside of me even right now that I have to suppress. But I wanted the weed cap because Snoop Dogg had it, and I wanted the motherfucking AK-47 earring, right? At the age of like 8, 9 years old. Because I come from Third Ward, I come from a place that this is what you do. But if it wasn't for my mom, who has seen better, who has seen more, pushing me to say, nah, you can't have that, then what would I be? Because a lot of my friends, I'll give a lot of credit to my mother, is because she allowed me to be a free thinker, but she was on my ass. You know what I mean? I don't think it equates to homosexuality because I don't know shit about that. You know what I mean? Like I don't even care that you gay because I don't feel like it's no big deal. Right. It's no big deal to me. It's like but what I do feel is that everywhere you turn around, that it's a big push for homosexuality. You know what I mean? So I want you to touch on how it was with you and with your dad, because you did have a father, which is a unique situation to have a dad.
And there are a lot of comments
Nigerian, because they ain't playing that shit. You know what I mean?
Go ahead, Adonis. I'm gonna read the comments once you say your spiel. I think it's some comments that are based off of your input that I do want to touch on.
Well, we can hit on it now. I can wait.
Okay, so I believe this is Sparkle saying this because I'm trying to figure out it says Facebook user. It's not giving me everybody's name. So it says, not gonna lie, this is a tough situation for any parent, but at the end of the day, your responsibility as a parent is to love your child no matter what that is.
Agreed.
Jocelyn said, so did they try to steer you the other way initially? And I'm assuming she's speaking on your parents.
Absolutely. It was I can tell you at a young age, and when I say young, I can definitely say probably as early as 5 or 6.
Okay.
I knew I was attracted to men. I knew.
Wow.
Y'all gonna clown me, but I knew.
No, I ain't. I don't, because I'm not you. I want to hear it.
Hey, what I'm about to tell you, y'all might clown. I knew for some reason when I watched Full House and I saw Uncle Jesse that I love looking at that man.
They ain't watch that shit. That's right. That's why I ain't watch that shit.
You would have been attracted to Jesse too, Frank. Like,
I ain't watch that shit. Don't look him in his eyes.
Now, even like being like an age baby, but having like older brothers and stuff, I would love when my cousins or my older sister would play gym. I mean, she would put on gym. Gemini holograms, like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful.
Oh yeah.
However, I knew that early on. I want to say it was certain things, certain traits. I have 4 older brothers. A lot older because I was always around. My mama would say certain things. However, it was always comments made that, you know, that they would prefer for me to be dynamic. And unfortunately, got to a point to me, like with middle school and high school, even at PV, that I was suppressing it. However, while I'm suppressing it, I'm probably sneaking off doing this, doing this. I ain't putting nobody out there, but baby,
it didn't change you. It just kind of made you just do what you still wanted to do, but you hid it from your loved ones.
Oh, wait, let me say this, and this is a reason I don't judge what you doing. And me and Kia talked about this off air. It's because, yeah, you openly gay, but it's a whole bunch of these hardheads that's running around here that's gay, but you're not saying it.
But you got to understand, Frank, that that the reason they're doing that is from trauma. They probably saw how other people, if they didn't come out and get a reaction that they didn't want from their guardians, more than likely they witnessed other people come out and get ridiculed or get exiled and things of that nature. And I mean, if you think from a logical standpoint, if that's how you see other people getting treated and you kind of want to avoid that, you're gonna be a down low brother. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think these types of conversations are so good to have, because at a certain age, everybody, in my opinion, I would think would be a lot more emotionally intelligent than we were in high school or college, to where it's like, you know what? I probably ain't into that, but if that's your thing, that's cool. I'ma still love you anyway, because that don't change who you are as an individual. You know what I'm saying?
True. That's not true. The reason I think the growth is it's the same mixture with racial and sexuality. If you stay inside of the bubble that you live in, almost everybody agrees with what's in that bubble.
That's why it's good to surround yourself with other people.
So the fact that you go to work, you grow, you go to college, you meet these people, you meet Adonis, and this dude was a person that gave you noodles in college when nobody else would. You don't care about his sexuality at that point. You just care that, hey, this is a genuine person. So it's not safe to say that everybody should grow or have grown to know better and do better, because if you're stuck in this same bubble, which the average person is, right? Most people don't go outside of this little ring.
You're right. They don't, but that's not a good thing. That's stifling to your growth as a person.
But it's life. And so one thing that I wanted to shoot out is like, shit, how do I address this dude? What do I say? I don't want to say this and you get offended. I say, because I worked with a gay guy, right? And I asked him, I said, what does the Q stand for? And he says queer. And I'm like, nah, stop playing, bro. He says, nah, that shit means queer. I'm like, well, what?
But he's educating you.
If you were a queer, no, he don't give a fuck though. Like he would turn around and say, punk, a faggot. It wasn't.
What I respect about you though, Frank? Individuals like yourself, what you just said, leading into what you touched on. I don't know XYZ because I haven't been surrounded by XYZ. That's you not being egotistical and thinking you know everything, because you got people who think they know everything and are loud and wrong, and they have yet to educate themselves on other lifestyles or even be tolerant of it. You know what I'm saying? Or have a conversation with people. I can respect people who are maybe stifled in what they're exposed to, but can say verbally, yo, I don't know this, I don't know that, and you ask questions. Those are teachable.
You gotta have somebody be able to ask the questions too.
That's it. Yeah, that's true.
Me being around those guys, I never talked to them about being gay. I knew they were gay, but little things that come up. But the comment, just like Adonis, I don't feel like you easily offended by shit people are saying or things people are saying, which is good.
Very tough skin, yeah.
Because you feel like if you say something about gay people, you almost on your toes, because how do you say it right when you don't understand what you say?
You don't know.
And it's honestly well, I can say this, because as far as like you say, your homeboy, y'all got that relationship. Well, hold on, let's go back to like being taught what's right, because I want to make sure just being a homosexual or being transgender is not wrong. It may not be desired outcome of what your parents
I dig that.
Being authentically you. Case in point, me growing up in the same house, like I said, I got 4 brothers. I don't know what the ideal, and hopefully by now with the exposure, social media, and the internet, the idea that people may think that gay people have, number one, we're not monolithic, just like all black people. All of us, like,
are different.
Black people don't eat sugar in their grits. You got some black people that eat something. Like, we're not all monolithic. We all don't go to follow the same
beat drum, right?
So understand, I grew up in house with 4 brothers, right? So the only difference between us and how we interact, for the most part, like, is when it comes as far as our sexual orientation, is who we have sex with. It's not that different. Like me, like, I know a lot of people, oh, he can't. First of all, let me put this out there because I don't think it's out there enough. I just like every female, do not attract it to every man. Every sexual man.
Some ain't your type, okay?
My type,
right?
For obvious reasons. However, my straight homeboys that I do have, and it's interesting that you say that because at Prairie View, before I left and went to CSU, and then like certain information got out, then like some of my homeboys knew. And we didn't fast forward to this year to one of my homeboys that we actually had that conversation because at first they thought like, oh, like, you know, like it was all this shit having to endure that, which a lot of people don't talk about what the trauma of that looks like, having your friends abandon you, your quote unquote safe space. And again, that's why I say go back to your family and you dealing with that. So let's say you got a subset of friends then that you with every day, all day, and they find information out, then you become a pariah. We didn't have a conversation that addressed it like that legit until like maybe like a month ago. And it was 2 grown men having that conversation. He's like, you know what? I didn't see it like that then. I apologize and this, that. Nah. I just think it's very important to allow people to be people. It definitely does take a village to raise a child. It does not take a village to make these mandates on children as far as what they should be when it's not hurting anybody else. I know you may look at somebody like I can live right next door to a Trump supporter. As long as the motherfucker don't come over here, it's not hurting me. Now it's something. Now there's a world of right, which is idealism, and we feel as though everyone should subscribe to, and there's reality.
Okay, let me ask you this question, Adonis. That way we can kind of stay on track. So, at what age, if Dwayne Wade kid was your kid, how would you have went about the whole coming out ordeal? Would you allow him to do the things that he's doing right now, to wear the dress, to carry the purse, like the other gentleman said, to wear the halter tops? You being a gay male, do you feel like it was too soon, or do you kind of feel like, hey, it is what it is?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that question because I put in the comments that gay people, lesbians can be transphobic and homophobic too. It wasn't until like a couple of years ago that I thought differently on this. I was definitely with, no, it's okay to be gay, but you shouldn't try to change your gender identity. That's before I got educated. So understand, just because you have proxy to a person, gay or lesbian, or they may be, does not mean, hey, nobody is the spokesperson for all gay people, all black people, all black men, all black straight men. So that's why it's important for us to use our statements and not speak collectively. So as far as I'm concerned, now that I am knowledgeable in the situation, and again, as I stated, my boyfriend is transgender, born a female, transition to a man. What I would do now, honestly, would I want my child going through that? No, as far as I know the trauma. However, what's more important to me is not waking up one morning, going to my child's room, and I can't wake up because of I said you conform to this.
Understood.
That's where I'm at.
At what age would you allow your kid to paint his nails and wear halter top?
Well, halter top is different. It's so crazy because
you ain't got the body for that, so I would have been good all the way through.
You know what? It bothers me because we have neighbors here. We have little girls. A lot of them Hispanic. A lot of them run out there with halter tops. I don't necessarily have an issue with it, and this is a whole nother conversation. I definitely do think that we need to stop it being a society overall that sexualizes children. That needs to stop.
That's a whole nother topic.
Because I hate when they say, "Oh, that little girl, she was wearing this," because then it's that. Because then it comes to victim blaming. No, she's not wrong for wearing that. What's wrong is that we live in a society that we got straight men, and we're gonna talk about it. And this ain't no digging about it. Like, who will molest these individuals? So we need to sexualize them. So we need to have these conversations. However, as far as attire, I would let my child show up how they want to show up within reason. Like, you ain't going out there exposing, like, no, things of that nature. However, what I also teach my son, and we have to realize that our kids will hopefully grow up to be adolescents, teenagers, and young adults. We are preparing them ideally for adulthood.
The world.
In adulthood, one thing I preach to my son, say, listen, whatever decision you make, you're going to deal with them consequences. You understand?
And backlash and unsolicited opinions, all of that.
Okay, so let's go here, okay, Nino. Let's ask you. You have a baby girl. At what age can she wear halter tops and nails?
Oh, she can get nails when she gets to high school. She's not going to be wearing a halter top until she's like almost 18.
Yeah, so Adonis,
and
I
don't believe, I'm a firm believer. I'm gonna say, like my grandmama used to say, I don't believe in giving the devil a foothold. And I'm still with educating people and discussing not sexualizing children, but the fact of the matter is, as much as we express that one shouldn't sexualize a child, we live in a world where it's just some sick people out there. And so I gotta make sure she carries herself accordingly, to where when she's under my roof and on my insurance, she's not giving mixed signals or welcoming anybody who may have a deviant thought process. So
right. So go ahead, Adonis.
Real quick, because let's say this, because again, this is nothing new. Being parents, nothing new. Being engaged, nothing new. Parents who do not do that, I have a lot of friends that present in a certain way in front of their family, as far as like portraying that they're straight or whatever, how the parents want them to, and then when they left, they present another place. You have predators out there that why you're not allowing your kids to do that. Trust and believe, just like you
they find a way. Yeah.
They find a way.
Absolutely. But that's when it comes into play. You need to educate your kids on all of those people who have underlying malicious intent towards them. So that's like encompassing. That's a whole thing where you teach them, hey, until you get to the pool, you wear a bathing suit at the pool. But until you get there, you wear your little cover up while you're walking up the street.
I also feel steps to it. It's you have to make sure you segue in it the right way. You can't It's no right way to say this. Almost like the conversation but I wouldn't allow my 12. This is what my joke was. So since he wanted to be a girl, you can't have a boyfriend in the back. You can't have a boyfriend in a black household until you're 18 years old, right? So so that would have shut that down. But I just still think, to get back on topic, that he's too young to make the decisions that he's making. Understand what he's feeling. I agree that that's a feeling that you can't deny. But I still don't think that you could totally change your role at such a young age.
Okay.
So with that, so we definitely have the world of feelings and facts. And let's make sure, y'all, we are, regardless of how we may feel about situation, even if we don't want to use the pronouns, we just refer to Zaya as Zaya.
Okay. Zaya. That's why I put Zaya in the show. I didn't say he or she. That was intentional.
And I understand, definitely understand the pronouns. Like it's all different situations.
It trip you up, yeah.
However, as far as the conversation of, so you can't do anything physically to your body as far as like the augmentation
until a certain age.
As far as like sexual reassignment surgery to 18. So if she wants to wear a dress, she's wearing a dress. The dress can come off. And then like a lot of people say, well, what happens later when they change their mind? Hey, that's a part of life. But we cannot stay and dwell in a land of what if. Okay. If Zaya decides at 18 or 26 or 30 that I no longer want to identify as Zaya, I want to go back to how I was known, then at that point in time, that's her decision to do that. And you also have an experience as individuals, whether you're their parents, their sibling, their family member, of dealing with adversity and understanding because we learn so much from experience, our trials and tribulations. And if anything, you have experience to help somebody else who's going through it, because nobody's gonna stop transitioning.
Right.
What I can say is this, and this is a testimonial, speaking again from my boyfriend. Somebody who parents was forcing them to wear dresses, things of that nature. None of that helped the situation.
Yeah, it was a catalyst for that individual to go out, seek affirmation, seek acceptance from other places. Potentially, I always think about that kind of stuff. You could potentially self-medicate with drugs because, again, this is your umbrella. Your parents, your mother and father are the first people you look up to as protectors, as people you confide in. When you go to those people and you say, hey, I'm feeling this way, and they're completely intolerant of it. It's just, I can only imagine. I try to take myself out of myself and think how that would feel. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, let's loosen the conversation up a little bit so I can ask. So Adonis, I said it's because those are little shorts that Dwayne Wade wears. So that means everybody on track. Certain things, certain signs are certain signs, right? So I think certain things is something that a straight male does, is certain things that they don't do. Do you still feel like that being a gay male? Like, it's just certain things. Me being a straight male, right? I talked about this. I can tell the reason I really don't have anything against you because it's more dudes that I'm around that I feel like some shit ain't right about him. And these
they down low. Are you saying that?
Right.
Are you insinuating
These are regular street guys. You know what I mean? And certain things, me being a straight male, I look at them like, hey, so I can't judge you when I shake these dudes' hands and think like,
kick it with them.
But do you still feel like it's certain signs that a male does, a certain thing that a male doesn't do that a gay male does, or do you think that all of it kind of cohabitates and it's no straight male, gay male?
You got to consider metrosexuals too, Frank. Like it's a lot of straight men. I don't
consider that though. I don't consider that. I think that's hinting at being homosexual.
But see, so here's the thing.
It's a teachable moment.
Let's talk about it.
And the crazy thing about that is being a gay man and just put it out there and say that the dudes gonna get real. I've been with all types of dudes. Dudes, metrosexual dudes, like doughboys, like thugs, trap dudes, all that. So there's no quote unquote way, or there's no garment of clothes that you can necessarily associate, especially with this day and time. Because I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. Like you see a lot of things you would traditionally think gay men would. You see these straight dudes. You see a lot of these straight dudes dressing their ass off. They not dressing a lot of these gay dudes. So it's not necessarily like distrust. What I think is, and it goes back to the point that you said about being around certain environments. There was a lot of things prior to me going out to college, going to preview that I would never wear, would even entertain time around other people. Like, oh, this environment, this is cool. I changed my style up, my swag up this way. I did the same situation. First of all, outside of everything, D Wade is wealthy. Okay, let's be real.
What is that?
Wealthy, rich.
Wealthy. Okay, yeah.
Okay, he's around a whole different subset of people that a lot of us are never around. That their social norms or their social norms.
They be at the Met Gala. They be at New York Fashion Week, and these are straight men who are what's my friend name? The NFL player. Everybody always ranking on him for how he dressed. Cam Newton.
That's a good example. That's a good example
of a heterosexual male who fashion wise, like it's not no right or wrong. It's what's trendy, it's what's in, it's what the last piece that Versace put out spring 2020, like he gonna wear it. So
but if you ask 5 straight men, do you think Cam Newton is gay? 4 of them are gonna I would think they would say yes. Men
from a certain environment.
Right.
This is my thing with it, and I have a conversation with my brother, my cousins. Me as a gay man, I understand why it's important for me to inquire if another man may be gay. I don't understand the importance or the relevance. Unless the individual is hitting on you, why in the hell is you worried about if they may
if he gay or not?
Right. I can dig that.
Yeah.
I can dig that.
Yeah, even to this day, like when women,
because it's irrelevant information. I can't even apply it to my life. Right.
Right. I agree with that. Like that was something I said when I first came on, is the fact that I feel like that's a straight man trait though. I feel like it's a straight man trait to not really be worried about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel that's why I do feel like there's certain traits of a straight male that a straight male should have. Me worrying about your business is not straight male trait. Being messy is not a straight male trait. You know, all these things that people are becoming, that allowing it to be cool, you know, petty and all that. I look at that as a homosexual trait, dude.
So let's be real, because some of the places I navigate is majority straight, and it's gonna be straight because that's the majority. I don't know the women who know this, but in that barbershop, don't be fooled. These dudes are just as messy and gossiping as women do in salon. They just do it differently. So my thing is, it's not necessarily about what someone's doing, is how they're doing it, and is it the traditional norm? Like you go. I don't know whether you've been to go to the barbershop often. You've been there before. You know what barbershop talk is. Know, like it's so many conversation about certain dudes, things and that. It's information, a place where you shoot the shit. I would just, but to sum all that up, as far as looking at certain traits, I think the issue is more so with whether somebody may be down low or versus if they're gay or whatnot, is the deception. It's not the fact that anybody.
Absolutely, I'm with you on that. I respect people a lot more who live in their truth, and I think but at the same time, I get why they feel they have to be deceitful.
Absolutely. Now, if motherfucker that's plotting on you, that's boy, and then they end up trying to hit on you. Now that's a whole different situation. But cool, because it's survival mode too. Because often, depending on the setting, they may not be able to beat them full selves, because you got dudes who might be homophobic. They got to deal with being gay bashed, but they may be verbally and or physically. You know,
right?
Or it could be a defense mechanism.
Kim, you want to try to catch the last of these comments? We got a few of them out there.
First, I want to, go ahead and let Adonis exit off of the live stream. Adonis, thank you so much for coming on. I think that your input, as well as Jaque's input, is very much needed. We got to kind of hear both sides of the, spectrum on this situation. And I don't think you guys understand how grateful we are that you guys agreed to come on. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it. I appreciate you being so open.
And being so transparent. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and let you go and read the last of these comments. All right. So yeah, we got a lot of comments, man. I think this is like, I'm so happy we had this conversation. I'm so happy that it's going to be posted, for people to not only join us live, but to revisit. These are the kind of conversations as a community we need to have.
That's and go
courageous. in and very courageous. And we need to go in and just kind of hear differing perspectives and things of that nature. So I'm happy we got to hear Adonis and Jaque's take. But
I got Jaque is texting me saying I don't think his comments are showing up, and if I may be overlooking them, but I don't see his name. We got a lot of people that just say users.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So what I'm doing for those, before we go, I'm gonna go through these comments. I'm gonna look from my phone because I'm able to see the names. So and by all means, it's a lot of good discussion I feel going on in these comments. I already know I'm gonna be here tomorrow trying to read them. But we're not going to go too much over the show, but I do want to touch on these. So I think Sparkle said that one. So Jocelyn said, so did they try to steer you initially? We answered that. Wesley, my dad tried at my brother's bachelorette party. So
what was that about?
I guess he's saying that, his dad tried to steer him on to another lifestyle via his brother's bachelorette party.
I mean, it was there. The option was there.
That's a typical, straight parent approach, or hetero parent approach. So we got a lot here. So Sparkle says some may not agree. Hold on, I want to read from here. Some may not agree with what I have to say, but I think the problem is the lack of balance. There are parents who are strict and have a whole lot of boundaries, and then parents who allow their children to do as they please. A parent should be cool enough for their children to feel comfortable to talk to them about everything, but also have rules, okay? Boundaries should definitely be set, but it shouldn't be to the point where they feel oppressed. Parents also shouldn't play hypocrite. You give respect, you get respect. And it says that, for those Bible thumpers, it say that in the Bible. Don't provoke your child. Okay.
But also, I want to throw out there before the next comment is, parenting doesn't come with a handbook.
It
so
doesn't.
you're doing this parenting thing you're doing this parenting thing on the fly, and you're doing it with the parenting from your parent that was misparenting. So
absolutely,
it's almost.
Go ahead.
It's almost trial and error. Yeah. And the bad thing about it is, you don't really get a do-over.
Absolutely. She also said, lastly, if you want your children to respect you, you should respect them. And the term for respect shouldn't be taken out of context. Also, she said she went to college with Adonis. He was so discreet about his personal life. We didn't know he was a teen father. He was so involved in student activities in the community. And she also said age appropriate is very important. 18 years old is a great age. As far as like when we talked about the attire and
I agree with that. I agree with that.
My child having a attire. So
I don't think that should change because you identify as a certain way. You should carry yourself a certain way till you get out of this house.
So somebody said, Nicole Janae said, Frank, it's always going to be a push, especially for equality. However, and I think she was referring to your comment on it being so much in the media. It's always going to be a push, especially for equality. However, although I'm an ally, I do feel that certain topics pertaining to LGBTQ sometimes feel forced. So
right. I'm glad that somebody agreed.
Yeah. Everybody ain't against you. Everybody ain't against you. So let me see.
I'm glad we had this conversation.
Devron also has something to say. Great convo. I think everybody deserves a world to live in without the struggle of being hated for existing. Black people should be the last to treat people this way. Absolutely.
I totally agree.
We know what it's like, to be
oppressed. Definitely
just
know
how we look.
Yep.
If Nicole Janae, if Zaya is who she say she is, was going to dress like that with or without the permission, she's probably already sneaking in Gabby's closet. Okay.
She would have to sneak. She would definitely have to sneak. I wouldn't be allowing it at this age.
Stephanie Torres, that's the JY homie. And
let's go.
In my experience, what I've witnessed is if the child's ability to express themselves, appearance, or express freedom, social interactions is very limited, they are more than likely to take it far when they are older. Okay, and that's somebody who's an educator who's worked around children. So I'm assuming she's implying like if you're not accepting of your child when they grow up, they on 10 as soon as they get out the house, which I agree with. We all went to school or went to college.
When we left out the house.
No, but I do now. Piggybacking off of what she said, I think that is a statement that can kind of go along with those individuals. I know for me, when I got to college, I wasn't jumping off the porch with it because in high school, my mom kind of gave me a long enough leash. I was able to go to Stadium Bowl. I was able to go, to the football after parties and have a social life. So when I got to college, I wasn't like jumping off the porch with it, like with men or, showing out. And I think that goes back to that. If you let your kid, if you teach your kids right from wrong and they show you that they're trustworthy and you let them do them, be themselves, express themselves how they feel in teenage years, at least, as long as it's respectful and not hurting others, they won't jump off the porch with it. Ty Prince, character and actions, not attire. I definitely think she was talking about when you asked the question of, is there a certain dress code that a male would have if he's gay? Certain things, Wesley Hollis, certain things that some women consider gay is weird, using wipes, pedicures, taking care of skin, and that goes back to heterosexual males. And I don't think, I love me a clean man, so I speak for myself when I say I don't have a problem with none of that. Devron, me, I don't want I think he meant the N-word around me that can't be himself. So
I agree with that.
All
you
that
don't want
download
to around him. That could be be yourself.
Right.
At this point, be you.
Be you. And we almost all, I think it's safe to say most of us are in our 30s. You should definitely, or close to 30. You should definitely feel free enough to be yourself. Devron said, I want to know I'm providing an environment for everyone to be comfortable. So a safe space. Tiff Tat says it's a lot of straight messy men. Yeah, absolutely. Ty Prince, I don't understand being deceitful. Be who you are. And
be you. I don't want anybody to feel like you can't be you, but I also want you to understand when somebody else doesn't understand why you feel this way or why you think this way, that you understand that they don't understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But like I told you earlier in the show, like I have a lot of respect for people like yourself who say, yo, basically saying I'm ignorant to this because of my environment I grew up in. Tell me what A, B, and C means. So I think Adonis had a last remark. Let's also remember the child we mistreat today can also be your mistreated caretaker in the future. Okay? Be straight in a nursing home. Hello. So these last few comments, we got about 4 more. Saida just had this convo with my sister. You have to embrace it. Parents know when their child is gay, they have a different demeanor. Okay. Darian Constant Sr. I don't like the comparison
my lawyer right there. Shout out to my lawyer.
I don't like the comparison between Black oppression and LGBTQ oppression. Not saying it doesn't exist, but we have generation and cultural defiances.
Because of our oppressions.
Because of our oppressions, deficiencies. Okay, deficiencies.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think you can compare the two.
Okay.
And that's probably coming from two heterosexual guys, because we all feel like you have a choice to be gay, and everybody that's gay will probably say, I had no choice. This was, this is in me. This is forced on me. So that's coming from a heterosexual male.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the comments, wraps up the show's guests. And I definitely, again, thank you all. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all chose to be here with me and Frank.
Appreciate the love.
We'll be back next Tuesday. I think next Tuesday will definitely be a lot lighter because this was real deep. It got real deep.
Got it in today.
It was real triggering. Like we started off last week being funny, haha, introduction, but this week we had a show that kind of made, it's gonna spark a lot of interesting conversation, especially with the individuals who weren't able to join us live, who's gonna watch this show later. And I think that this was a really, really dope conversation. But next week we're gonna make it a little lighter. We probably gonna do more than one topic. And again, I know I mentioned last show, me and Frank talked about it. We're gonna kind of get out some sponsorship packets. Nothing too outrageous price wise, but for you individuals who may have businesses, music coming out, creative things coming out, nonprofits, things of that nature. If you want to shout out on the show, if you kind of want us to put your business up on our page, $5-10 here, we're going to use that money to make the podcast better. And we just gonna try to stay on track and stay consistent. So I definitely appreciate y'all for being here. Frank, you got any last words?
Hey, shout out to Jonas for making these Third Ward shirts, man. He helped paint the George Floyd mural on Elgin and Ennis.
Okay.
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I thank the guests. I appreciate everybody's respect. That was one big problem with me. I didn't want anything to get disrespectful, and I didn't want you or your friends that are LGBTQ, because I wanted them to know once you invited them on, that was good. So I'm glad that
I appreciate Jaque for coming on, as from his standpoint and being respectful and still articulating his thought process and his perspective, as well as like putting us on to some of the things that he's into and been studying that a lot of us may not have been aware of. So I thank Jaque for coming on. I'd like to send one shout out because we both got shirts on for people we know real quick. Corey E. Wilson made this shirt. A lot of people who went to Yates, and was in the Preps Alpha chapter. We know Corey. Shout out to him. He got his shirt business and paraphernalia apparel, period. So I do want to get that in, and I appreciate you guys.
We need you to share this on your post.
Share, like, tell people about it. Come back next Tuesday.
Any new any posts or any topics, go to Ask OTC podcast at gmail.com. ASK OTC podcast at gmail.com.
It's right there for you. So, all right, man. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.